What does that mean to you guys?
It's going to be fun. This was a great series. I mean, Seattle came out really great against us, so they're a great team, so most respect to them. But, you know, this is the energy that we got to carry over. The next series is going to be probably a big one, a huge one. Obviously, everyone knows that.
There was a lot of things that this group accomplished that, you know, a lot of people probably didn't think was possible, one, to start the season, and two, after the start we had to the season. So, yeah, it'll definitely be probably a little weird for me over the course of the first couple weeks, and then I'm sure I'll get bored and pick up a basketball again. So
I watched Game 5 of the WNBA Finals, the series deciding Game 5 last night, the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty, and I'm glad that I did, because it says a lot about what's going on in the sports world. It was an embarrassment for the WNBA last night. It was proof that this league is so heavily dependent on Caitlin Clark.
In one of the most dramatic turns of events in WNBA history, Caitlin Clark, the emerging star of women's basketball, was able to overshadow Liberty's first ever WNBA championship triumph, leaving league MVP A'ja Wilson visibly angry. After a dramatic overtime that saw Liberty win their much-anticipated title, the focus switched to Caitlin Clark's unexpected limelight, and not necessarily to her role in the game itself. Instead, her achievements and continued success in a variety of fields dominated the headlines, overshadowing what should have been a watershed moment for the Liberty brand.
And now for the presentation of the 2024 WNBA Finals Trophy and the WNBA Finals MVP Award.
Why did A'ja Wilson lose her composure? How did Caitlin Clark, who was not even in the final, manage to overshadow Liberty's historic victory? Buckle up, because we're about to dive into one of the most talked about storylines in women's basketball. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on the newest sports drama and insights. Also, like this video and click the notification bell to stay updated. For years, the New York Liberty has been the WNBA's bridesmaid, coming close to championship glory but always falling short. The team's support base remained devoted, thinking that one day their cherished club would finally win the ultimate reward. That desire was eventually realized in 2024.
Sabally with the 13 points in the 17 minutes. Thornton specifically on the defensive side. How huge was the production from those two tonight?
The New York Liberty do not win a championship without these two players showing up in the way that they did.
The route to the championship was not simple. Liberty has faced difficult opposition during the regular season and playoffs. They had a fantastic squad that included players like Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, both of whom were critical to Liberty's rise to the top. The finals were as heated as one might anticipate. Liberty squared battle against the reigning champions, the Las Vegas Aces, in a nail-biting series that lasted until Game 5. It was an all-out conflict on the court, with neither side giving an inch. When the final buzzer rang in overtime, Liberty won their first WNBA championship. However, instead of focusing on Liberty's accomplishment, the headlines instantly moved to Caitlin Clark, an excellent player who wasn't even in the game. So how did Caitlin Clark contribute to Liberty's championship run? Caitlin Clark has been nothing short of a sensation in women's basketball. She has broken records, received sponsorships, and garnered headlines for her outstanding accomplishments in both the NCAA and abroad. Her deep three-pointers and aggressive playmaking have earned her comparisons to the NBA's top players. However, it was her burgeoning prominence outside of the WNBA that drew notice this time rather than her skills on the field.
The pace of this game, I'm not quite sure who it's benefiting. I guess you have to say the Wings right now because they're up. Clark turned the corner, but then again, here comes the fever using the same.
Caitlin Clark, frequently referred to as the WNBA's future, had recently signed a landmark deal with a prominent European basketball league.
These women already, half the WNBA right now is overseas playing in some foreign league right now because they don't make enough money during the WNBA season to take care of themselves at the level they want to for all year. They're already playing in rival leagues.
This deal established records in women's sports and pushed the frontiers of international sports contracts for female players. This historic agreement shook the sports world, and word of her signing broke just as Liberty was celebrating its maiden championship victory.
Has been able to be ball dominant the last few possessions, and she's gotten to the rim. She's had both looks to score and been able to pass the ball out.
A'ja Wilson has every right to be furious. As the face of the WNBA, the reigning MVP and a pillar of the Las Vegas Aces' success, she had guided her team to the finals with the goal of winning back-to-back titles. When Liberty stole the championship in the closing minutes of extra, the Aces and Wilson suffered a sad loss.
Is there any competition for Asia when it comes to MVP?
No, you knew that. You knew the answer to that before it even came out of your mouth. No,
say it.
hell no, not gonna happen, not happening. You could just phrase that however you want to. No one is coming close to Asia Wilson for MVP. It is hers. It is done. Just go ahead and send her the trophy. What is it? The trophy. Send it to her.
Yeah, send it to her. All right, she's got that.
What drove her over the line was the media's infatuation with Caitlin Clark. Imagine leading your team through one of the most difficult WNBA seasons, just to have the attention stolen by someone who didn't even play in the championship game. The post-game interviews were dominated by inquiries about Clark's new contract and her future in the WNBA, rather than Liberty's hard-fought triumph or the Aces' devastation.
Well, Asia, you said when you woke up this morning you felt good. How did you set that tone early in the first half? Becky said she was trying to take you out and you would not sit down.
You can't sit down in a game like this. This is an elimination game. I cannot sit down. That's looking like giving up. That looked like quitting to me. So I knew I had to come and be just who I needed to be for my team out the gate and make sure that we understood what we needed to do here at home.
In an emotional post-game interview, Aja Wilson expressed her sentiments. She didn't hide her dissatisfaction with how the narrative had altered, expressing unhappiness that more attention was being devoted to Clark's off-court activities than to the game itself. Wilson's scream rapidly became a hot topic on social media, with fans and analysts debating whether her response was acceptable. The story was covered extensively by the media. Caitlin Clark's record-breaking European deal was already making headlines, but the fact that it overshadowed Liberty's championship and Aja Wilson's obvious frustration only added fuel to the fire.
Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA as the most impactful women's basketball player we've seen in a generation, and it took a combination of things, both on and off the court. Off the court, attendance, viewership. On the court, breaking the single season scoring record or the all-time scoring record in college. But now you see her in the WNBA, and you can say the exact same thing. Most impactful that we've seen in women's basketball for those same two reasons. Arenas were upgraded, viewership through the roofs. But then when it comes to the basketball, what she was able to do was truly impressive. She averaged 19 and 8. For some context, I won Rookie of the Year. I think I averaged 12.
Fans were split. Some thought that the media had degraded Liberty by focusing on Clark, while others considered that Clark's accomplishments were deserving of recognition. Caitlin Clark had been a transcendent talent, and her breakthrough deal represented a significant step forward for women's sports. However, many Liberty supporters said that the timing of the broadcast detracted from what should have been a historic celebration for their team.
She was able to do was truly impressive. She averaged 19 and 8. For some context, I won Rookie of the Year. I think I averaged 12. It is a huge feat to get those types of numbers.
Social media became a battlefield for these competing viewpoints. Hashtags such as #RespectLiberty and #ClarkEffect trended for days, with fans arguing the media's role in molding the narrative around women's sports. Meanwhile, Aja Wilson found herself at the center of the controversy, with her words criticized in both good and bad ways. This whole incident raises the question, how does the media shape the narrative around sports, especially women's sports?
They get a gift sent to them called Caitlin Clark. She is sprinkling magic all around the WNBA, making a sport that no one likes likable and watchable. And instead of showing any gratitude towards Caitlin Clark, they have set out to destroy Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA has battled for years to obtain the same degree of media attention as the NBA or other major sports organizations, and many think that incidents like these are indicative of a broader problem.
I think she's spectacular. I think she's going to be the biggest box office attraction in women's basketball in short order. I know it sounds like I could be a bit biased. I had the pleasure, as I've told you on several occasions, of doing an interview with her. And when I was there with her on stage to do something with her, 10,000 people showed up. Yeah. This woman is special. She is a marksman. She is the Steph Curry of women's basketball.
Some sports pundits suggested that the media's infatuation with Caitlin Clark, although reasonable, detracted from Liberty's very legitimate accomplishment of winning its first championship. Others said that Clark's success story represented the overall progression of women's basketball and should be applauded. However, one thing was clear. Clark's dramatic statement came at a critical time, distracting focus away from Liberty's victory. It wasn't simply a basketball story anymore. It sparked a bigger discussion about how women's sports are covered forward and how narratives are constructed around individual players rather than team triumphs. While Wilson and Clark have never faced off in a professional arena, this event foreshadowed a possible future rivalry between the two players.
Breaking news here on SportsCenter, and a surprise to absolutely nobody. Caitlin Clark has been named WNBA Rookie of the Year, the #1 overall pick. Didn't only break rookie records in her first year in the W.
My top 3, A'ja Wilson, Caitlin Clark, and Nafisa Collier. If we look at their stats, A'ja wipes the floor with both of them. The only categories that she doesn't have are assists, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage. Caitlin has all of those. She is tied for steals with Nafisa. And if you watch A'ja play, you can see how she dominates the game. Like, she's an incredible player. I don't think that I have to beat that point into your heads. You guys get it. If you watch A'ja play, she's a great basketball player. Is she a better player overall right now than Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier? Yes. Is she a more valuable player to her team than Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier? That is where I'm not sure. And that's where we can start to have this conversation.
A'ja Wilson has been the WNBA's face for years, while Caitlin Clark is seen as the league's future. Both are competitive, skilled, and hungry to leave their imprint on the sport. As Clark prepares to join the WNBA, many anticipate she will pose a direct threat to Wilson's supremacy. This media-fueled friction between the two heightens the excitement around their impending confrontation. Fans are looking forward to what may be one of the most thrilling player rivalries in women's basketball history.
I don't think we really do that a lot because the WNBA teams that play in the arenas, they aren't really as big as this one or some others. But like I said, it don't matter where we play. I just want us to play well and be good on both sides of the basketball.
But is there really bad blood between the two players? According to sources close to both players, there is no personal hatred between them, but rather a mutual appreciation for their respective skills.
It was a record-breaking crowd there for the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas for a WNBA game. Of course, you had Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston there. There's been so much talk this season about the young talent coming in this year. From your standpoint, A'ja, what do you think's been the best part of this particular WNBA season thus far?
The energy. I feel like the energy is good. It's a good vibe. It's a good feel. People are really just coming to see the product on the floor. I think it kind of a little too gossipy in the beginning, but then it started to fizzle out because people started to realize we're really good at what we do. We're elite at what we do. So I love the energy now. Like, people are seeing good hoops, and that's what it's all about. We come out here and we work hard and we play basketball.
Still, it's difficult to overlook how the media and fans have already positioned them as prospective opponents, with Wilson representing the present and Clark representing the WNBA's future. This whole affair has had repercussions across the WNBA and women's sports in general. For years, the WNBA has fought for more awareness and recognition, and events such as Liberty's first title should be celebrated. However, the fact that the attention turned so swiftly to Caitlin Clark's off-court accomplishment raises concerns about how women's sports are reported. Many commentators argue that although Caitlin Clark's successes are commendable, the media must do a better job of balancing coverage of individual and team achievements, particularly in women's sports where visibility is already restricted. Liberty's championship triumph was a historic milestone for the organization, and it deserved to be the biggest story in sports. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's pioneering deal has created new prospects for female athletes, notably in overseas contracts and sponsorships. Her performance demonstrates the potential for progress in women's sports, but it also emphasizes the need to ensure that teams like Liberty get the recognition they deserve for their accomplishments. So what comes next for these two stars? A'ja Wilson's 2024 WNBA season may have ended in sadness, but she remains one of the league's most formidable performers. Fans are already looking forward to the next season when Wilson and the Aces will certainly be contenders once again. Wilson will also have the potential to cement her reputation as one of the best WNBA players of all time, but she will be weighed down by the disappointment of the previous season.
How much pride are you taking for yourself at this stage in your career in terms of what you're still able to do?
I mean, I take a lot of pride in it. I got to get the job done. That's pretty much it. That's the deadline, it's period. That's what I have to do for my team and just continue to grow in that. Not trying to do too much, not always trying to be productive for my team. So whatever that looks like, I'm trying to do that every single night and be consistent in that, because that's where you get greatness. That's where you get longevity and Hall of Fame and legacy, is that you're continuing to be great and your teammate knows what they're going to get out of you every single night. So that's what I try to do.
every night.
Caitlin Clark's future is tremendously bright. With her record-breaking deal in Europe, she is establishing a new norm for female athletes worldwide. And when she finally joins the WNBA, the expectations will be sky high. Fans are excited to see whether she can live up to the hype and challenge talents like Aja Wilson, domination inside the league. The friction between Aja Wilson and the emphasis on Caitlin Clark during Liberty's championship run exemplifies the changing dynamics in the world of women's basketball. It's a narrative about competitiveness, dissatisfaction, and the always shifting environment of sports media coverage. Whether you support Aja Wilson's redemption or Caitlin Clark's meteoric ascension, one thing is certain: the WNBA is entering a new age of drama and intrigue.
Doing an interview with her, and when I was there with her on stage to do something with her, 10,000 people showed up. This woman is special. She is a marksman. She is the Steph Curry of women's basketball. And I understand the Cheryl Swoops of the world or anybody else. There's a lot of players that have been excellent in women's basketball.
If you like this in-depth look at one of the most dramatic moments in WNBA history, make sure to subscribe. Also, make sure to see our video, Aja Wilson goes off after Caitlin Clark's Europe contract breaks WNBA records. For additional information on this ongoing dispute, thank you for watching.